I swear to you, that night still haunts me. You ever have one of those moments that split your whole life clean in half? The kind that burns itself into your bones so deep, you can still feel it years later. That was November 2010, the night my daughter left her 5-year-old boy on my porch and never came back. Asterisk, it was cold enough to see my breath, quiet enough to hear the old porch boards groan under my slippers. Headlights pulled into the driveway, cutting through the dark like blades. When the car door opened, I saw Rachel, my only child, standing there in the glow of the streetlight, pale and shaking. Her hair was a mess, her eyes swollen, and next to her stood Ethan, my grandson, small and still, hands clamped over his ears, like the whole world was screaming. Asterisk, just for the weekend. Mom, she said, voice trembling, I need a break. Asterisk, before I could even ask what she meant, she set a tiny backpack on the porch. I'll call you Sunday. She didn't wait for me to answer, didn't hug him, didn't kiss him. She just got back in the car, and before I could reach her, those taillights were gone, disappearing down the road, swallowed by the dark. Asterisk, I looked down at Ethan. He didn't cry, he didn't move, just rocked back and forth on his toes, eyes fixed on the floorboards. Hey, buddy, I whispered, my throat tight. You wanna come inside? Nothing. I picked up his little backpack light. As Aaron opened the door, he followed me in, still covering his ears. The refrigerator hummed, and he flinched. The heater clicked, and he pressed tighter. So I turned everything off until the house went dead quiet. That silence, it was the kind that presses on your chest. Asterisk, I made him chicken nuggets and fries. Rachel once said that's all he'd eat, but he didn't even look at the plate. I tried pasta, then a sandwich, nothing. Finally, I set out some crackers. He ate 3, then pushed the rest away. When I tried to help him brush his teeth before bed, he screamed pure terror, not anger. I backed off right away. It's okay, honey, I said softly. You don't have to. Asterisk, I tucked him into bed, but he kicked the blanket off. I tried again. He screamed louder. So, I left the blanket at the foot of the bed, turned out the light, and whispered, "Good night, Ethan." He didn't answer. Asterisk, all night, I could hear him humming a low, steady sound in his throat that rose and fell like waves. I didn't sleep. I sat outside his door, listening, praying, wondering what my daughter had done, and what I was supposed to do now. Asterisk, by morning, Rachel still hadn't called. I left messages. Rachel, call me back. I need to know what he eats, what his routines are. But every call went to voicemail. One day turned into 3 into a week. Asterisk, finally, I took Ethan to the pediatrician. The doctor looked at me gently, like she was afraid her words might break me. "Mrs. Cooper," she said, "Ethan's on the autism spectrum. Has anyone talked to you about getting him evaluated?" Asterisk, I swallowed hard. His mother was supposed to. Asterisk, the doctor smiled kindly. "Looks like that's you now." And just like that, I was 68 years old and a mom all over again. I started learning speech therapy, occupational therapy, behavioral programs. I learned that Ethan needed the same breakfast every single day: scrambled eggs, toast cut corner to corner, nothing touching. The same route to therapy, same show before bed, same bedtime words. I learned not to touch him unless he came to me first. I learned patience like it was a new language. Asterisk, a couple weeks later, I found him on the living room floor before sunrise. Toy cars spread out around him. He was lining them up by color: red to orange to yellow to green, but not just color. The shades were perfect gradients, so precise I had to squint to see the differences. "That's beautiful, Ethan," I whispered. He didn't look up, but his rocking slowed a little. That was his way of saying he heard me. December came. Rachel never called. I stopped hoping. On Christmas Eve, I was baking sugar cookies. The kitchen smelled like vanilla and butter. Ethan sat at the table, watching me cut the dough. When the phone rang, I almost dropped the rolling pin. "Rachel," I said, grabbing the receiver. "Mom." Her voice was flat, drained. "I can't do this anymore." "What are you talking about? When are you coming to get him? He needs you." "I tried," she whispered. "I really did, but I can't. He's yours now." And just like that, the line went dead. I stood there, the smell of burning cookies filling the room. Smoke curled up from the oven. I turned it off, pulled the tray out, and sank to the floor. I cried until I couldn't breathe. When I finally looked up, Ethan was standing in the doorway, silent. He walked over to the counter, picked up the little yellow cup I'd given him on his first night, and set it beside me on the floor. Then he went back to the living room. That small act, quiet, simple, broke me open, because even without words, he was telling me, "I see you. That was the night I stopped waiting for Rachel to come back. It was just me and him now, and I promised myself I would never leave that boy, no matter what. After that, our days fell into rhythm. Same breakfast, same routes, same bedtime. The more predictable things were, the calmer he got. He started humming less. Sometimes he'd sit beside me on the couch while I read, not touching, just close enough that I could feel his warmth. For him, that was connection. When he turned 6, he became obsessed with magnetic letters on the fridge. He'd arrange them into patterns for hours. Then he started filling notebooks with little symbols, lines, circles, dashes, like he was tracking something invisible. His therapist told me, let him, he's building order. It helps him feel safe. So I did. By 7, those marks turned into letters. By 8, they became sentences. Egg toast, school, home. He wrote everything that happened to him. He learned to make eye contact, just for a second at a time. He started to trust that I wasn't going anywhere. Then one morning in spring, while I was making breakfast, I heard his voice behind me for the first time in years. Why did Mom leave? I froze. The spatula nearly slipped from my hand. I turned. He was sitting at the table, eyes on his notebook. She said she couldn't handle it, I whispered. He nodded once, wrote something down, and went back to eating. I turned to the sink and cried where he couldn't see me. He'd spoken. After 3 years of silence, my boy had found his voice. And from that day on, everything started changing. People used to tell me Ethan would never make it, that he'd never fit in, never be normal. But they didn't see what I saw. Behind those quiet eyes was a mind that saw patterns in everything. The way light hit the walls, the rhythm of car engines, the space between raindrops on glass. Sometimes, late at night, I'd watch him sketch symbols in his notebooks and think, God help me, this child is seeing something I can't. Asterisk, if you're still here listening, hit that subscribe button and tell me where you're watching from, because trust me, you'll want to hear what comes next. Asterisk, that quiet little boy, my grandson, was about to build something no one in this world had ever seen coming. And when he did, it would turn our whole lives upside down. Ethan was 11 when I first realized his notebooks weren't just scribbles. I used to think he was just doodling lines, grids, codes that didn't make sense to me. But one morning, he pushed one of his notebooks toward me and said, "It's a pattern, Grandma." Asterisk, I looked down and saw pages filled with numbers and shapes, all repeating like some kind of secret rhythm. "What kind of pattern, honey?" I asked. Asterisk, he tapped the page gently. "It's how things move, the lights, the cars, the sound." Asterisk, I didn't understand it then, not really, but I knew enough to listen. There was a look in his eyes I'd seen only a few times before, a deep, almost electric focus that made the rest of the world disappear. He wasn't just seeing the world, he was decoding it. Asterisk, around that time, I'd started saving up for an old laptop. It wasn't much, some used Dell I found at a yard sale, but when Ethan saw it sitting on the kitchen table, his whole face changed. His hands hovered over the keyboard like it was made of glass. "Can I?" he whispered. "Go ahead, sweetheart," I said. He started typing, just random letters at first, then words, then long strings of symbols. Within a few weeks, he was teaching himself how to code something called Python, something called Java. I didn't understand half of it, but I saw what it did for him. For the first time, the world made sense in his own language. Asterisk, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and see the light from the living room glowing under my door. He'd be sitting cross-legged on the floor, eyes fixed on the screen, fingers flying over the keys, the glow reflecting in his glasses. I'd say, "Ethan, honey, you need to sleep." And he'd whisper, just one more line, "Grandma, I'm almost done." Asterisk, almost done. That boy had been almost done for 3 years. Asterisk, he started building little games first, ones with mazes, colors, and sounds that reacted to touch. His therapist said it was the first time Ethan was expressing emotion through creation. It was like each piece of code was a piece of him he'd been too afraid to show the world. Asterisk, by 13, he'd built a program that could read people's faces and translate emotions into color patterns, blue for calm, red for anger, yellow for joy. He showed me one afternoon while I was folding laundry. He aimed the webcam at me and said, "Smile, Grandma." Asterisk, I did. The screen lit up gold. Then I frowned, and it turned dark blue. I laughed so hard, I nearly dropped the clothes basket. "Lord have mercy, Ethan," I said. "You just made a machine that knows when I'm grumpy." Asterisk, he smiled for the first time in weeks. It was small, but it was real. Asterisk, that same month, A teacher from his school called Mrs. Cooper, your grandson's. Well, he's different, but not in a bad way. I think you should consider a science fair. Asterisk, I almost said no. Ethan didn't handle crowds well, but he overheard me on the phone and whispered, I want to try. So I said yes. We spent 3 weeks getting ready. I helped him print his code, mount his project board, practice his answers. I still remember the smell of coffee and glue that filled the kitchen that week. The night before the fair, I told him, you don't have to win, baby. Just showing up is brave enough. Asterisk, he looked up from his laptop and said, I just want them to see what I see. Asterisk, the next morning, we walked into the gym, full of kids with volcanoes and robots and glitter-covered posters. Ethan's table looked different, clean, simple, just a screen and a small webcam hooked up to it. He stood beside it, rocking gently on his toes, clutching his notebook. When the judges came by, he said nothing at first. He just pointed to the screen and turned it on. The camera detected one of the judges' faces and changed colors instantly. It's reading your expression, Ethan said, voice quiet but steady. Blue means calm, yellow means happy, red means angry. The judge smiled. The screen glowed bright yellow dot. By the end of the day, people were crowding around his table, laughing, clapping, asking him questions. For once, my boy wasn't the quiet one in the corner. He was the star of the room. When they announced the winners, I held his hand so tight my knuckles turned white. First place Ethan Cooper, for emo code, translating emotions through AI. He didn't smile right away, just blinked like he couldn't believe it. Then he turned to me and whispered, we did it, Grandma. I swear I could have cried right there in front of everybody. I didn't care who saw. That night, he sat on the porch with his little trophy, the stars shining overhead. Grandma, he said softly, if people can understand how others feel, maybe they'll stop being mean. I felt my throat tighten. You're trying to fix the world, huh? He nodded, just a little piece of it. And I'll tell you what, that moment, I believed he could. Life got busier after that. News spread around the school. Local paper did a small article on him, called him the boy who made emotions visible. I clipped that article and stuck it on the fridge right above his drawings. He didn't care much about the attention, but I could tell something had changed. He was starting to believe in himself by 14. Ethan was building bigger things, programs that could analyze sounds, read moods from voices, even mimic tone. One day he came to me holding his laptop. Listen, he said, and hit play. Out came a soft, warm voice that said, good morning, Grandma. I gasped. Is that me? He grinned. Kinda. I recorded you talking, then trained the program to speak like you. Well, Lord, I laughed. Now I don't even have to get out of bed to scold you. We both laughed, really laughed. It was the kind of laughter that melts years of pain off your shoulders. But behind those moments of joy, I saw something new in his eyes, a heaviness, like there was something he wasn't telling me. Late at night, I'd find him staring at old photos of Rachel, the mother who'd left him. Sometimes, he'd close the laptop when I walked in, pretending he was just coding. One night, I asked, you miss her, don't you? He didn't look up. She didn't understand me, but I still miss her. I wanted to tell him that she was sick, that she wasn't strong enough, but I couldn't lie. I just put my hand near his, on the table, not touching, just close enough, and said, she should have stayed, but I'm here, always. He nodded. I know, asterisk, you know, folks think autism means you don't feel things, but that's not true. My boy felt everything. He just didn't know how to show it. So he built things that could do it for him. Machines that could understand emotions better than the people who broke his heart. If you're still with me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because this is where the story starts to twist. What happened next changed everything I thought I knew about love, loss, and the price of genius. See, Ethan's inventions were about to get noticed by someone far beyond our little town, someone who saw more than just talent in that quiet boy, someone who saw profit. And when they came knocking, I should have never opened that door. It started small, just an email. We saw the article about Ethan. It said, we're from a tech company in San Francisco. We'd love to see his work. Asterisk, I didn't think much of it at first. I figured it was one of those spam things, so I ignored it. But then another message came, then a phone call. They said they'd built software that helped kids with developmental challenges express emotion, and they wanted to partner with Ethan. Partner, that word alone set off alarms in my gut. Asterisk, but Ethan was 15 then, and all he heard was opportunity. He spent nights researching their website, whispering excitedly, Grandma, they build AI that helps people talk. They could help me share what I've made. Asterisk, I wanted to protect him. But I also saw that spark in his eyes, again the same one he had when he made that first little emotion reading game. So I said yes, maybe too fast. Asterisk, a week later, 2 people showed up at our front door, suit smiles and business cards so shiny, they looked fake. We're just here to see his project, they said. No pressure. Asterisk, Ethan sat in the living room showing them what he'd built, programs that could track tone, translate facial expressions, even predict emotional response based on voice. They asked questions I didn't fully understand, nodding like they'd struck gold. Asterisk, when they left, one of them shook my hand and said, "You've got something special here, Mrs. Cooper. We'll be in touch." And they were. They sent him equipment, new laptops, faster processors, even a little stipend for materials. They said they just wanted to help him grow. It sounded innocent, helpful, even, but the more they gave, the more they asked. They wanted his code files, his raw data, his access logs. He started spending longer hours in front of the screen, typing till his fingers ached. Asterisk, I noticed he stopped naming his programs things like emo code or color field. Now they had sterile, corporate-sounding titles: Sense, Mood Track, SynPath. Asterisk, I asked him one night, "Honey, are you still having fun with it?" Asterisk, he hesitated before answering. They said I could help millions of people. Grandma. Something about the way he said it made my stomach twist. One afternoon, I got a call from one of the company reps. "We'd like Ethan to come to California for the summer," he said smoothly. "We'll take care of everything. Flights, housing, food. He'll be safe." Safe. They always said that word like a promise they didn't intend to keep. I told him no. Ethan was still a child, still needed structure, still needed me. They said I was standing in the way of his future. That's when things got ugly. A week later, I got a letter from a lawyer. The company had filed a motion for temporary custodial guardianship, claiming I wasn't capable of supporting his potential. They wanted to take him, use him, own what was in his head. Asterisk, I remembered the way my hands shook holding that paper. I'd lost my daughter once, I wasn't about to lose my grandson too. Asterisk, Ethan found me crying at the kitchen table that night. He read the letter quietly, then looked up and said, "They can't take me, Grandma. I'm not going." Asterisk, I hugged him, first time he ever let me without flinching, and whispered, "We'll fight this together." Asterisk, and we did. Asterisk, we went to court. I wore my best church dress, the one I hadn't worn since Rachel's wedding. Ethan sat beside me, tapping his fingers against his notebook, calm but distant. Their lawyer talked about future development and guardianship structures. My lawyer, a kind man from town who'd known me since I was young, just said, "He's not property, he's her grandson." The judge looked at Ethan and asked, "Son, do you want to live with your grandmother?" Ethan stood, voice steady as a mountain. "She's the only person who never left." That was it. Case dismissed. They couldn't touch him after that. But something changed in him. He stopped talking about coding for companies. He started talking about purpose. "They wanted to use feelings to make money," he said. "I want to use them to make peace." For months, he locked himself away in his room, building something I didn't understand. Lines of code scrolled across his screen like poetry. I'd bring him food, leave it by the door. Every now and then, he'd whisper through the crack, "Almost done." Then, one night, I woke to a light spilling under my door again. I walked to his room and found him sitting there, eyes glassy from lack of sleep, hands trembling. "It's finished," he said softly. He turned the screen toward me. I saw words glowing across it: Project Haven. "What is it, baby?" I asked. He smiled, that little half smile of his. "It listens to people, Grandma. It learns how they feel, and then it talks back kindly. It teaches them how to talk to each other again." I didn't understand the science, but I understood the heart. He'd taken all that pain, all those years of silence, and turned it into something beautiful, something meant to heal. He uploaded it that night, a simple app, free for anyone. By morning, thousands had downloaded it, then millions. People started posting online about how it was helping them talk to their kids, fix their marriages, understand each other again. They called it the Empathy app. Reporters showed up, news vans parked on my lawn. Folks wanted interviews, photos, deals. I tried to shield him, but you can't hide brilliance forever. One reporter asked him, "Why'd you make this?" He said, "Because my mom didn't understand me, and I don't want anyone else to feel that way." I cried right there on camera, didn't care who saw. Within a year, Project Haven became global. The same company that tried to take him came crawling back with offers, money, fame, partnerships, he turned them all down. Some things, he said, aren't for sale. And he meant it. Ethan became one of the youngest innovators in the country, but at home, he was still just my boy, the one who needed his eggs the same way every morning and liked quiet car rides with no radio. We built a small life, peaceful and steady, surrounded by the echoes of everything we'd survived. Sometimes, I sit on that same old porch where Rachel left him all those years ago, and I still see her in my mind, broken, lost. I don't hate her anymore. She gave me Ethan, and Ethan gave me back a reason to live. Asterisk, if you've been listening to me all this time, do me a favor, sweetheart, share this story. Tell someone you love them tonight, because you never know who might be standing on their own porch, waiting for someone to stay. But before you go, there's one last thing you should know. A few months ago, Ethan started working on something new. He won't tell me what it is, just says, "You'll see soon, Grandma." Every night I hear that soft clicking of keys again, that hum of quiet genius, and something in me knows, whatever he's building this time, it's going to change everything again.